everyone. Thanks for joining us on the news briefing for this Wednesday. We'll go ahead and get started with our Pájaro recovery update. We have our colleagues from FEMA. Chad Bowman is here from FEMA, and we hope Marielli Carty from SBA will be joining us shortly. But Chad, I'm hoping you can get started with an update on disaster assistance for residents in Pájaro.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you for having me again. Do want to first start off too, thanking you folks for this opportunity to be here. Just as an FYI, it does appear as though next week might be our last time on this press briefing. So I just wanted to give that heads up. We'll be here. I will be here Wednesday next week. And we will probably just do an email with final numbers after the first. And I'm just giving you that heads up now. But wanted to provide that information and those current numbers. As of the close of business yesterday, Monterey County has received $5,668,719. I will put this information in the chat. And they have had 3,110 registrations with a eligibility rate of just over 47%, which is great, all things considering. So I will put those numbers in the chat. Excuse me. It is important to remember the deadline does end for registration on September 1st, fastly approaching, just a little while from now. So just over 1 week left. September 1st is the deadline to register at disasterassistance.gov or calling the 800 number at 800-621-3362. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, as always, for being here. Do we have Marielli on the call? I see a phone number I don't recognize, and I wonder if it might be her. I know she had indicated she might be a little late, and I don't see her here. But we can, and Chad, I know you have to go. So I really appreciate you. As soon as Marielli is able to join, we're going to circle back and get her information. And I thank you, Chad, very much for the update from FEMA, and we look forward to getting the data from you. All right.
Of course, thank you.
We'll sweep back and get Marielli when she is able to join us. But I would like to move on to our next topic right now. As many of you may have heard at the Board of Supervisors yesterday, the Pajaro Valley is the focus of a 2-year climate resilience grant awarded to the County of Monterey Sustainability Program. There are many stakeholders in this grant, and there are a lot of milestones to be met. We're very pleased to have 2 people here to talk about it. Cora, who's our Sustainability Program Analyst, whose name I think I just butchered, so I apologize for that. And Eloy Ortiz, who is with Regeneración, Pajaro Valley Climate Action. Welcome both to the news briefing.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. I think, Cora, are you? I think
Cora was going to lead us off.
Sounds good. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Cora Panturad, analyst with the Sustainability Program of the County of Monterey. We're very excited to talk to you about this grant opportunity that we have coming up for us, the Transformative Climate Communities Planning Grant from the Strategic Growth Council of the state of California. And we're very excited for this specifically because the Sustainability Program and the County of Monterey as a whole really wants to integrate equity and equitable programming throughout all of our climate action activities. And we're hoping that this project can really guide us and teach us and really go through the process of what centered equity and climate action looks like at the county. And we're really excited to put boots on the ground and work with the community and build creations and opportunities for engagement and co-design solutions together. We've been working on this grant since the spring of 2022, and it was officially awarded to us at the end of October in 2022, which was before all of the flooding happened in the most recent batch of disasters. And we were thinking ahead of this because we want to prioritize the community of Pájaro, and now with the flooding, this opportunity is much more important, and we are looking forward to being able to work through this with the community together. And we are coordinating with the long-term recovery plan that is happening for the community of Pajaro so that we aren't duplicating efforts or overburdening community members. And we are strategizing the best ways to have those efforts go hand in hand so that we can plan for a better future in the community of Pájaro with residents. So with that, I'm going to turn that over to Eloy, who is leading the grant program from Regeneración, and let him kick it off.
Hi, everyone. My name is Eloy Ortiz. I'm the Special Projects Manager at Regeneración, Pájaro Valley Climate Action. We are a education equity advocacy focused on the Pájaro Valley. We're a nonprofit focused on climate resiliency, climate issues for the most vulnerable populations here in the Pájaro Valley. So I'm just gonna do a quick rundown of this project that's funded by California Strategic Growth Council. So it's a $300,000 planning grant. The grant term is from July 2023, ending in 2025. As Cora said, County of Monterey is the lead. We will be the Regeneración will be the local convener. Our partners include UC Santa Cruz Sustainability Office, Ecology Action, and AMBAG. Just to quickly summarize, the County of Monterey and Regeneración will be working on this 2-year it's called a Transformative Climate Communities Planning Grant. The reason why they focus on that transformational part is this grant is really going to focus on communities who are impacted in a number of ways: health, environmental issues, housing, economic disparities. And the grant, in focusing on climate change, is very broad in what we can do as far as helping this area in and towards improving climate resilience. So we will create a community climate coalition made up of community agency leaders and residents. And over the 2 years, we'll build their capacity to understand climate adaptation and resilience issues in the area. And then at the end, we'll identify up to 5 greenhouse gas reducing projects that may inform a TCC implementation grant, which would award up to, I believe, $29.5 million is the last award to actually implement the projects identified by the community. But that's a separate application process. Oops, excuse me. Just to show you a map of the area, so the Pájaro Valley, we're looking at the area of Pájaro, of course, up into, it's a cross-jurisdictional, so it's up into parts of the city of Watsonville, and then west into parts of unincorporated areas of Santa Cruz County. So there's 2 goals. Again, establish the Community Climate Coalition. We will have funds to actually contract or make grants to community leaders and residents to actually participate in the Climate Coalition over the 2 years. We'll ask selected members of the coalition to attend regular meetings and incorporate portions of the coalition activities into their regular work. So instead of just having people that come to a meeting and attend for an hour and a half, 2 hours, really try to incorporate what we're doing in the monthly meetings into people's work. The idea is to leverage community leaders' placement in the community, their leadership in the community, to really connect what we're doing in monthly meetings to what the community needs. And also build the capacity of the coalition members to understand environmental policy and issues. And again, at the end of this 2-year process, the goal is to identify greenhouse gas reducing projects. So just to give you, and then those projects will inform an implementation application in a few years down the line. Again, the highest award at the moment is $29.5 million. SGC defines, so we're really focused on, we're really focused on greenhouse gas reducing projects. SGC defines them very broadly. And for an example, we can look at Stockton. Greenhouse gas reducing projects here were, economic opportunities, energy and water efficient appliances, urban greening, workforce development. So not only could it be installing solar panels, but maybe a solar panel installation training program, community engagement. And I included this last bullet point, really focus on displacement avoidance. We don't want to invest all this money into this area and then displace the people that are living there now. And then just last point, we will have an event at on Wednesday, September 6th at the Watsonville Main Library from 6 to 7:30 p.m. It'll be a kind of an introductory meeting. We're going to screen 2 short films about the TCC program in Oakland and in the Coachella Valley. And I'm happy to answer any questions later or offline. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And Cora, I just want to make sure there isn't anything you wanted to add at the end before we open it up to questions.
I'm okay. We can open up for questions.
All right. If you have questions, you're welcome to put your questions in the chat, or you can raise your hand and ask your questions in person. I would like to start off with a question. There is a lot going to be happening with this grant to bring the community together. This sounds like you're going to get a lot of benefit from this work that goes beyond climate change. And you're working with the recovery task force people. How do you see this as being part of really an overall recovery and bringing the community of Pájaro together?
So when we think about climate change, climate action, and climate adaptation, really what we have to be considering is that all of this work is going to impact how we do everyday activities, especially for working class folks. And that as climate change worsens and conditions worsen, then the people who are already disadvantaged are at risk for being the most left behind as our system adapts and changes. So we want to make sure that we are planning for transportation and food security and access to opportunity, as well as lowering greenhouse gas emissions all at the same time. So as we tie in long-term recovery plan efforts with climate action planning, we can come together with the community and create solutions that are going to be better to improve the situation in 2024, but also out through the next 50, 60 years.
Yeah, completely agreed with what Cora said. I think the community engagement piece, both of the recovery efforts and this TCC planning project are really important. One of the things we've heard from since the levee breaches is the people of Pájaro don't feel like they're being engaged. They don't feel like they're being heard. So these are all opportunities to really hear people, to engage with them, to build their capacity to understand both climate resilience, climate issues, but also at the same time, maybe the other resources that are available to them from maybe the city of Watsonville or the county of Monterey or other nonprofits and agencies in the area. We really plan to, we have this small coalition that we're going to form, but we really want to also reach out to the larger community and bring resources to the larger community, build up their capacity over this 2-year process. There's a lot of things going on. I just wanted, it was just a short presentation of what we'll be doing.
Eloy, we had a question there, wondering if you put up the slide that shows the elements such as urban greening, energy, and water efficiency.
Yeah, sure, of course. And these are available online. These are just examples of what has been done in other communities. So for example, for instance, so this is, I believe we're in the 5th year of the TCC program. So for instance, this was done in Riverside, the East Climate Collaborative, renewable energy, water efficient, replacing older appliances, urban greening, really bringing trees out to the area, community engagement, of course, and workforce development. So this was Riverside, and then I'll just show you Fresno, which they worked on So again, we're talking about greenhouse gas really broadly. So it could be reducing the amount of vehicle miles people travel by increasing sidewalks and increasing mobility and increasing recreation options in the Pajaro area. It's just very broad, or increasing, small community gardens, and so people don't have to jump in their cars and go to the stores. It's very broad, very. It will be a planning grant that will give the opportunity to be very creative about what their community. I'm sorry, it's a grant that will give residents an opportunity to be very creative about what their community needs.
And it's the residents who are going to be in these meetings, and you may give them examples, but they may tell you, oh, that wouldn't work here, but what we really need is something else. And you almost don't know what they want until they tell you.
Correct. So that's the community engagement part. It's not us going in as experts and telling them, hey, we need to build this, this, and this. It's really listening to them. And also working with the cities and counties to find out what their priorities are, and meeting somewhere in the middle. But as I say to other people, this community engagement piece is such a huge requirement to a lot of proposals. Engaging the community is required by a lot of proposals that are being released right now. So this can inform future proposals also. This process, I should say.
Any other questions for Cora or Eloy before we let them go? You're welcome to put your question in chat, or you can just ask your question if you wish.
And I'll put my email in the chat also.
That would be great. Thank you both very much for participating today and sharing this information. We really look forward to seeing the outcome of this project in the next year or so. And we have our friend Marielli Carty from SBA on the briefing now, and we'd like to turn to her to get an update on SBA. Thanks very much, Marielli, for joining us.
Of course, Maya, thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. Okay, so before starting with SBA's numbers regarding Monterey County, I would like to remember you all that the deadline to apply for physical damage loan is next Friday, September 1st. The people affected by this storm can apply accessing our secure website, disasterassistance.sba.gov. I will put that information on the chat, Maya. For those who have already completed the application and want to know the status, please call us at our customer service center number, and I will put the information as well on the chat. Okay, so Maya, we have received 68 applications for a home loan. We have received 61 business and EIDL loan application, and we have approved more than 3.4 million on SBA disaster assistance just for the Monterey County. I will put the information as well in the chat. I will say the same information in Spanish. Antes de comenzar a informar sobre los números de la SBA para el condado de Monterrey, es importante mencionar y recordar que la fecha límite para solicitar un préstamo a bajo interés por daños físicos es el próximo viernes 1 de septiembre. Usted puede acceder a nuestra página web a disasterloanassistance.sba.gov para poder solicitar la asistencia. Y aquellos que ya solicitaron y que están buscando información sobre su estatus, puede llamar a nuestro número de servicio al cliente. Voy a poner la información en el chat, que ya en breve lo coloco. Hemos recibido 68 aplicaciones de hogares. Hemos recibido 61 aplicaciones para negocios o para daños económicos. Y hemos aprobado más de $3.4 millones en asistencia para la recuperación de la SBA. Así que cualquier duda o pregunta, estoy más que a la orden. Thank you so much, Maya.
Thank you, Marielli, as always, for joining
course.
us. And hopefully we'll see you last week, but for your last appearance on our news briefing.
Right? Thank you, Maya, of course.
Thank you. Now we're going to turn to information about our County of Monterey One-Stop Community Center. The Department of Social Services One-Stop Community Center recently held an open house. You may have heard about that. And the One-Stop is celebrating the open house celebrated the evolution of the One-Stop. This center has come a long way in a few years, and we have Diana Jimenez from Social Services to tell us about how this project has evolved and what the center offers. Hi, Diana.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to share information about our One-Stop Community Service Center. I am the Deputy Director for Monterey County's Department of Social Services Aging and Adult Services Branch, along with the CalWorks Employment Services Branch. So with those two roles, we really wanted to create a one-stop to help meet the needs of our multi-generation community that we serve, which includes our young families with little ones, individuals living with disabilities, and our growing senior population that we all know in about 7 years, in the year 2030, it's expected that one in 4 of us will be age 60 and over. So at the One Stop, we combine programs from the CalWorks Employment Services side and the aging side. So the reason for that, again, is to support families, and on the CalWorks side, support families and children looking for employment, training, and educational opportunities. And through that CalWorks Employment Services program, we provide things like childcare, transportation, behavioral health counseling, learning disability assessments and tutoring, high school equivalency classes. We work with many of our partner agencies to help provide even more services to the families we serve. And that includes partnerships with First 5, the Housing Resource Center, Watsonville Law Center, United Way, Goodwill. And we also work closely with our local community colleges, MPC and Hartnell College. Through the Aging and Adult Services Program, we have the Adult Protective Services Program that responds to and investigates allegations of elder abuse. And the top 3 allegations of abuse that we receive are, first, financial, the second one is self-neglect, and the third one is neglect in general. We also have information and referral services, and these are our social workers that provide triage when we get calls. And so they receive about 1,500 calls a month. And we are creating and working on the continuous effort to create this no wrong door. So no matter the reason that people call us, we really try to do warm handoffs and connect them with services so that they don't have to call, a lot of county phone numbers just to get the services they need. And the other program that we have on site is the in-home supportive services. That includes services for IHSS recipients as well. And this is the program that helps individuals remain at home for as long as possible through some support service programs. The other program is Public Authority, that individuals interested in becoming IHSS providers go through this program and they register to help families who might need and qualify for the IHSS program. We also have an SSI advocacy program, and that particular program is operated and administered by social workers who work very closely with individuals who are homeless or at the verge of being homeless and have no income and are also disabled. So they work with them sometimes for a couple of years in trying to help them get Social Security benefits, in addition to housing, be it temporary. The goal is always long-term, but that can be difficult for someone who has been chronically homeless and facing issues such as mental health or substance abuse type of challenges that they've had throughout the years. We also on site have the Area Agency on Aging, And as social services and the county, we recognize that alone we cannot meet the needs of our community. So we value and work closely with our partner agencies. So the Area Agency on Aging provides a lot of funding to local programs that add and are part of the network of senior service providers. And that includes Meals on Wheels, the Alliance on Aging, Legal Services for Seniors, Ombudsman, and then we also work closely with CECL, the Central Coast Center for Independent Living, in addition to other service providers that at the moment I cannot think of. We also have on site the Military and Veterans Office that individuals can come and access. Many of our clients can be both a senior and a veteran, or the spouse of a veteran and a senior, and also an individual with disability. That includes young families. The majority of our IHSS recipients are parents caring for their children, be it a child under 18 or an adult child. And the second category of IHSS providers are spouses, but the largest one is parents caring for their children. So basically the program, IHSS program, really helps serve families and their loved ones to help them stay at home as long as possible. With that, I'll stop to see if there's any questions, because I know I've shared a lot.
Well, there's a lot of information to share. One thing that I would ask is, how do people find out about the One Stop Community Services Center besides outreach like we're doing right now? How are people brought in to the center?
So a lot of, some are referrals from our partner agencies that send them our way. We also have a DSS website for those that are more savvy using the computers and websites. We have Facebook account, Instagram, and then we have a main number that individuals can call, which is 755-4466, and I'll put that in the chat. But most of the time they're referrals, and people call us, and I'll give an example of a call our IRA social workers team received that I think was a really a success, because this was an elderly woman who was very stressed out because she was taking care of her elderly spouse who had dementia. So they were on Medi-Cal, but they had a very high share of cost. So she called our office trying to find out how they could qualify for in-home supported services programs, so she could get some assistance both as a caregiver to get some respite from the full-time responsibility of caring for her husband. Because she had a high share of cost, it really wasn't economical for her to apply for IHSS. I mean, she could, but there would still be that high share of cost. So through the assessment, the social worker found out that her husband was a veteran. And so she connected her to our veterans office on site. And through that program, they were able to get her husband into a day center for adults, which gave her some respite care. They were also able to pay for it. And then she was able to go back and do some activities that she enjoyed before with some friends and family, just to clear her mind and just get things back into normalcy for her. Because as we know, the responsibility of caring for a loved one, especially full-time, is can be so daunting, and especially when you're elderly yourself and have some physical ailments yourself, it's just a really huge responsibility. So anyways, through that particular call and doing some assessments, we're able to connect her with even more services, and our social workers followed up a month later to make sure she was still okay and if she needed anything else. And she was just really in a much better place and less stressed out. So again, I will put those numbers on the chat so you can have that. Some other programs that we have on site through our partner agencies is the behavioral health. That's a really big one, not just for our young families who are worried about the price of gas and getting to an appointment for themselves or for their children, or deciding, do they pay the rent or do they pay the PG&E bill? Because one of the two, will get shut off and they don't have enough money for both. It's just constant stress and pressure. And so having access on site, so we have 6 counselors and therapists on site that they can speak to if needed to. We also have support groups for the young families, in addition to the other programs that I shared earlier. We can help them with like childcare, transportation, but behavioral health is really a big help. And we try to take away the stigma behind that and say, all of us go through things, all of us, including our staff. And each one of us individually, right, at one point and another, and again, normalizing it and having easy access, quick access to professionals helps them get the help they need, and also knowing that they're not alone. But also on this aging side, on our elder side, there is so much depression, isolation, and like the story I just gave you with the elderly wife, worried and stressed and overwhelmed with the care of her spouse with dementia. There's just a great need for behavioral health services. So we have that on site. We don't have the on-site yet for adult services, but we just got a $2 million grant from the state that we applied for to create this program called Age Wise. And so basically what we are providing to our CalWorks young families through our behavioral health counseling, we're going to try to replicate that for our aging population, knowing that there's so much demand for behavioral health and really not enough resources, as hard as we try. Another big concern of both sides, right? The young families and our aging population is lack of food, right? Food insecurity. So we try to connect them and make sure they know about Meals on Wheels on the senior side, and also CalFresh, because seniors can also be eligible for that, and as well as, of course, our young families. And the cost of housing, right? That's a concern for everyone, or lack of. So we have various programs both on the senior side and then on our CalWorks side to help with some of the cost of housing, or programs that can help them. Any questions for me? Because again, I know I've shared a lot.
Well, there's a lot to share. But here's one question: how does the one-stop community services center differ from the services that social workers provide, that someone may call the Department of Social Services looking for information?
Okay, so yeah, so we have different branches in the Department of Social Services. So we have like Family and Children's Services, right? That's a totally different branch that helps little ones who are in abusive situations. We have maybe the one that most people are familiar with, and that's the CalWorks benefits side of the house, which that if someone is interested in applying for Medi-Cal, CalFresh, and CalWorks, that's their area of specialty and what they do. So our particular programs, like I said, it really is blending in aging and adult services with the CalWorks employment services, which again, as I shared, the CalWorks employment services focuses on helping families really rise up above poverty and either support them through whether they want a training or education, or just simply looking for a better job or a job period, and helping them, through job search workshops where they learn about resumes, but resumes, application filling, and then connections, and also study and practice interviewing. But I think the most important thing that happens on the CalWorks employment services side is our families, when they walk in, many times, just dealing with life and some of the stresses that we all know we go through, but imagine not having any of the resources and you're worried about your babies, right? And like all of us, we want a better life for our babies. So usually that's the motivational factor of coming in, entering our doors, and, because it's not like people are proud to enter our doors, right? It's a need. And so we're here to serve our community, and so we take that job very, very responsibly. So helping them to believe in themselves and offer some hope for a better day for them and their children through the counseling, through all the array of wraparound services that we have, is a big one, because before we never used to do that. and in the employment services side, and we would have really a high turnover of families or individuals on CalWorks that would come in, get a job, lose it, come back, come in, lose it again. And the reason for that is because we never addressed the underlying barriers in the first place to why they were in the situation that they were in. And that could be unresolved childhood trauma, domestic abuse, a learning disability. Did I say also that we have on-site learning disability assessment and tutoring? If I didn't, we do. We have that too, which is a phenomenal, amazing program. Aside from, we also have on-site high school equivalency classes. So that's, pretty amazing as well. So anyways, all these wraparound services to help people overcome the barriers that they have had to overcome or just got stuck on, and helping them to get to a better place is pretty amazing for us, and it's uplifting for us and our staff that provide this service. And I'll give you an example on the CalWorks side. So we had this young mom, with a single mom with 3 little ones, and she was in a very physically abusive relationship, physically, mentally, and had really didn't know what to do. At some point, though, somehow she got the strength to leave that, but she had no money, nothing. And so when she came in our doors and we provided all these wraparound services and the support, and for her to know that we really do care about her, she went from just feeling, just all the depression, everything she went through psychologically through the domestic violence situation she was in, to really, blossoming. And, she ended up going to Hartnell, got 2 different AA degrees at Hartnell, went on to CSUMB and graduated from CSUMB. And so through that, the pride, the sense of accomplishment, and knowing that she will provide, be a good example for her little ones, but also be able to support them financially and not depend on us, right? The system to help get through them, which is not much money to begin with. But so that's just another example. I'm not sure if that answered your question, or I just.
Well, it certainly did. But so as a last word on the One Stop, if you were going to tell someone, should they check out what the One Stop has to offer, who should be looking at what the One Stop has to offer?
I think
in our community.
Anyone in the community who has a disability, who's elderly, who is young families looking for assistance with training or employment services, or veterans. So basically anyone in the community with at all age levels. Like I say, young parents with little ones to our elders and everything in between, especially also individuals with disabilities.
All right. Thank you so much, Diana, for sharing what the One Stop has to offer. I know you had a great open house. You had a really wonderful time for the community. We hope more people will come and take advantage of the services that are there.
Thank you. We actually had 450 community members come, and it included Project Hope. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but they brought in 2 busloads of their own clients, and they were just so happy, young adults with disabilities, just being able to be out there. It was kind of like a fun carnival environment, and we had our elders there, and then we had I think 31 service provider agencies that provided lots of information, lots of raffle prizes, and we provided free food and snow cones. So, because as we know, if we just say, come community, come and learn about all the services we provide, nobody's going to come to hear us, they don't, but if we add music and food and just make it fun, it makes it much more attractive for our community to come. Plus, we also offered to the first 100 people $25 gas vouchers, because we know gas is really expensive. So through grants and things like that, we're able to offer some of those freebies, which we know help entice people come. But once they came, they wanted to stay. So that was a good thing.
Thank you, Diana, very much for sharing this information. It's always a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for joining us on the news briefing this week. Our next briefing is next week. We'll see you then.